So in a previous video, we had talked about the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, and we explained exactly what it is, how it's been invoked, or the times in history that it's been invoked, and why it's being invoked right now under the Trump administration. So we're going to have to dive a little bit further into this because there's some additional information that I feel like I could have included in the last one, but for time's sake, I wanted to go ahead and break down another video. So Trump last week invoked that act, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. It's a wartime authority, as we spoke of in the previous video, used to deport non-citizens with little to no due process. Now, the due process video is tomorrow's video, so I'll go ahead and break down what due process means and why it's so problematic. If you're deporting people without due process, it's basically saying you're not giving them their rights, and you're arguing that the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua is a hybrid criminal state. That's what he's saying, like an enemy of the state that is invading the United States. So remember yesterday, I said that we're not under wartime, and that's the only other time that this act has been used is under global war or major conflicts. But he's saying because there is a statute under here that says if you're facing an invasion, then you can use this act. There's some sort of legal grounds to be able to use this act. That's why he is saying we are facing an invasion. So if you're saying you're being invaded, but not specifically by who, under this one, he's saying the Venezuelan gang. But you can kind of go and say, oh, this people, over here, they're invading us as well. So let's deport anybody that looks like that. We're going to explain a little bit more about that as well, because, boy, I got a story. So invoking this act has actually gotten the Trump administration in a little bit of hot water as far as it comes to our judicial system, because our judges are pointing out the fact that this is problematic to say the least. So Judge Patricia Millett, the federal judge, had noted that alleged Nazis were actually given boards and hearings and established regulations, while the alleged members of Tren de Aragua were given no such rights. They were deported without due process. Now, the Trump administration is trying to argue that the judicial system, the judiciary, does not have the right to review the use of the Alien Enemies Act. It's an executive power. They're alleging that deportations under this act falls under the president's Article 2 powers to remove alleged terrorists and execute the country's foreign policy. So that's the angle that they're taking. They're saying that this is a specific executive power that the president holds and cannot really be infringed by any other branch. But the problem is not just that this act is being enforced, it's how it's being enforced. An official with U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement acknowledged in sworn declarations that many of the non-citizens that were deported last week under the Alien Enemies Act did not have criminal records in the United States. And I got an example for you. But first, I really want to touch back on what Patricia Millett had said, the federal judge who is calling into question these deportations. She said there was no regulations and there was nothing adopted by the agency officials that were administering this, that the people, they weren't given any sort of notice and they weren't told where they were going. There was no details given to them. They weren't able to file for any sort of petitions or clearings or anything of that nature. So, and she's basically saying, hey, prove me wrong. What's factually wrong about what I said? You guys did not give them due process. This is Franco. He's a 26-year-old Venezuelan migrant asylum seeker. Now, Franco was living in Dallas, Texas with his girlfriend working as a barber, and he actually turned himself in to immigration officials and was going through regular checkups with ICE and was detained the last time he went for his routine check-in without any sort of notice. Now, mind you, Franco has no criminal history. The Department of Homeland Security even verified that his record shows that he has no known criminal history whatsoever. Now, in spite of this, they're still saying Franco is suspected to be a gang member with zero criminal history. They are acknowledging that he is a suspected gang member with zero criminal history, no previous arrests, working as a barber in Dallas, Texas. Now, do y'all remember when I showed y'all Caroline Levitt saying this?
Why can't the
right
administration just release basic information like their identities and names?
We are not going to reveal operational details about a counterterrorism operation.
Do y'all remember what I told y'all? Do y'all remember what I said about there being a reason as to why they won't give out that information, as to why this so-called presidency of transparency is not so transparent about anything? They just say words. Them saying words is not equivalent of them telling you the truth. They are actively saying, we're not going to tell you who these men are, who these people are that we deported without due process. We just need you to trust us and know that these guys were bad guys. So I need you to know that every time you see these images right here, when they're telling you to cheer this on, I want you to think of how many Francos are in that line, in that place, without any due process, without any help, in another country that they've never been to. And I want to leave you with one last thing that the White House press secretary has said, and it's going to let you know exactly where they stand and where this is going.
How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
I want you to understand what that means. They are not stopping here. They are not going to leave it at these violent gang members. They are going to accuse everybody of being a violent gang member or a criminal. They're going to criminalize anybody. If you overstayed your visa, if you failed to reapply, if you came here and you forgot a piece of documentation, if you came here and you're working hard and you got your green card and it didn't get approved, if you came here and you're an asylum seeker, they are going to criminalize you because they are saying it. They are telling you. They are saying if you broke our nation's laws, you're going to get treated like a criminal. I wish they would keep that same energy for every law that has ever been broken, because their president has broken 34 felonies worth of laws and fraudstered all his way to the top. But, I guess, rules for thee and not for me, coming from the party of hypocrisy.